All right, we are moments away from a start in this next game here at the Great Southern Slam 2016. This is Brisbane City Rollers taking on Newcastle Roller Derby League. This is the second game each for both of these teams, both having defeated the Bay Rollers from Byron Bay in yesterday's play here at the Great Southern Slam. We're live from the Adelaide Showgrounds.
Both jammers joined at the hip to start the jam and now splitting off.
So we have been whistled on. Holly Funk is jamming for Newcastle at the moment. Number 115, Nick Rafilia, jamming for Brisbane. We've got one headed off to the penalty box already, but it's Holly Funk who explodes out of the pack first and is indicated as lead jammer.
And Nick Rafilia is out as well. Both packs scrambling to get to the front.
And they're offense gating the pack speed, picking up there now. Holly Funk back amongst the points, picks up 3 as she calls off the jam. Manages to hold BCR to 0 so far. As the lineups change over now. Number 11, Fang Fiend for Brisbane. And fantastic. Moving behind the line. Wearing the purple and yellow star for Newcastle. A blocker apiece in the penalty box. Means of just 3 each to get past in front of the jammer line. Both jammers engaged with their defensive walls at the moment. Both teams employing a triangular defence. Fang Fiend goes for the outside. Almost shut down there by debris. But she manages to get past Fang Fiend. You lead jammer number 11 for Brisbane City Rollers.
And outside Kimber Kazi manages to knock her to the outside.
And she's back amongst it, just not quite able to hold her footing as she's pushed across the outside. That's debris there taking her out. She's able to quickly get back on track. She's picked up all 5 as we see Fantastic heading off to the penalty box, the Rydell penalty box here at the Wayville Pavilion.
3 blockers on the track remaining, go for Newcastle. Unforgiving Bunny heading the penalty box.
Back into the points. Fang Fiend wiggles through a hole on the inside, picks up another 5, the jammer point in there as we still have the jammer for Newcastle in the penalty box. 3 blockers apiece, waiting for her to come back around. Pretty much in their starting positions between the jammer and pivot lines.
Good afternoon, Bob de Quickly. This is Flat Track Protocol. Good afternoon, viewers at home. Welcome back to the Great Southern Slam. I'm going to fill in on a mic to help you out, Bob.
Lovely, good to have you here, FTP. A Fang Fiend is still looking to get past on the outside. These defenders coming across, trying to close her out, taken to the outside. That's got Gilla sold separately, pushing hard against the outside and taking these jammers way back.
And to all those viewers at home, good afternoon. We've got the YouTube chat open in front of the announcers here. We can see what you're saying, so shout out to us, ask us questions, interact with us. We'd love to hear from you. And yes, we agree. Ritual ideas, go Team Zebra.
That's right. Fang Fiend gets out for another 5. The jam comes to an end.
Got FTP here at the moment. Yeah, because I've got the VRDL game after this.
Going to have a Rocket Man jamming for Brisbane. She's quickly out of the pack. She's picked up a cut track. She'll be heading off to the Rydell penalty box. Number 49, Kay Sass, is jamming for Newcastle. She will be in control of a power jam. Yet to clear the pack, though, on her initial pass. A scrambling pack trying to roll around in front of her at turn 2. Now, quick change around here in the commentary as well. Welcome, Son of Skaten.
How are you doing? Just right across from the other track, so sorry I'm late.
Excellent. That jam comes to an end.
And it looks like I've missed a bit of excitement already. 15 points on the board for BCR.
Yeah, just in the first couple of jams. That last jam, though, has ended both teams scoreless in that one, so it remains 15-4. BCR out in front at the moment.
with Newcastle having a power jam start.
Looks like we're having an official review here at the moment. So Newcastle... No, I'm wrong. It's a team timeout. So early in the game to see a team timeout. But here we go. Gives us a chance to have a look at some of our sponsors. Rydell are one of the main sponsors here of the Great Southern Slam in 2016. Importantly, sponsoring the after party. Son of Skate and I can imagine that you've got an 80s prom outfit ready to go for that one.
Yeah, I may have had a bit of preparation just for that occasion.
I can't imagine. But Rydell have been the leaders in innovative skating gear for the last 70 years. Unmatched quality and unmatched performance. They've got representation here at the Adelaide Showgrounds, and also you can check out all of their gear online as well.
They're also the sponsors for the penalty box at this track, currently holding 3 people. Looks like it's a Newcastle blocker and a blocker for BCR and their jammer.
And their jammer, that's right. So that means that Holly Funk, number 3 for Newcastle, will be taking a power start in this one. And 3-on-3 blockers in front of the line.
Newcastle doing their best to wrap around that wall. BCR rolling backwards to try to negate that wraparound. Not quite enough. She's out for lead.
The blocker's still stationary. Rocket Man re-entering the track now.
Looking for that inside line. Really pushing hard against that Newcastle wall. BCR trying to cycle back.
And a big hit that Rocket Man spins off there. She does have this star cover in her hand, so she's waiting to make her way through for an initial.
She nearly gets out, but that last blocker gives her a bump.
Yeah, Booker heading off to the Rydell penalty box for that last hit as well.
A little bit of an out of play hit.
So Newcastle adding 4 points in that jam. They come up to 8. BCR still out in front on 15. Amy Geddon still in her onesie at home.
It is onesie Sunday here. There's a fair few of our commentators and fair few of the patrons kicking around in their onesies. And
yeah, that's fantastic. That's doing the jamming there for Newcastle at the moment. But number 5, Hooker, is out in front. She's the Punk Blockers jammer.
And Godzilla sold separately for Newcastle, making her way to the penalty box, the Rydell penalty box.
Yeah, Hooker makes her way through for quick 4 and calls off the jam, takes him out to 19.
That's safe points and call.
That's how you win derby games.
So quick 4 points for Brisbane. We're going to start over with Newcastle with 2 blockers in the penalty box.
Just scanning around onesies in the crowd.
That leaves only Mojo Malicious.
Taking their position in the stars behind the line. Kay Sass for Newcastle and Nick Raphilia.
Brisbane at full strength. They're going to field Nick
Out there for BCR.
Just the 2 blockers at the front from Newcastle for Nick to get around. She does so fairly quickly, and he's the lead jammer.
Nick is out. Kay's blockers trying to give offense. They're so caught up in the offense that they don't reset for defense.
And a quick 5 points there picked up and added to the Brisbane total.
And Brisbane jammer re-enters. Nick is getting into the pack again. Second scoring lap.
This time she is picked up by the Newcastle defenders, but not for long. She makes her way through.
Godzilla sold separately, returning from the bin. Looks like knee pads are falling off everywhere.
I can see 2 knee pad covers on the track there, just flicked to the infield by one of the skaters.
And BCR setting up at the back. Looks like they're trying to hold.
Just coming in with some offensive help. That looks like Kimbo Kazi.
And that star pass has been made.
737 Debris now pulling the star under her head for Newcastle and sprinting around towards the back of this pack. The jam's called off.
Nick calling it safe. 16 points.
2 points for Brisbane at the end of the jam. Total of 16, though, for the ladies.
22 minutes left to play in this first half of this game between Newcastle and Brisbane City Rollers. Fang Fiend, number 11 for Punk Blockers behind the jammer line. And number 3 for Newcastle is Holly Funk.
Hello at home. Yes, we are in our onesies here. And we're underway.
Rydell penalty box is empty at the start of this jam. There's a full 4 in front for each jammer to push past. Nobody having yet done so. Fang Fiend looks for the outside.
Holly Funk still caught at that 3-wall at the back. We've got one on their way to the Rydell penalty box. Debris.
Holly Funk out of the pack first. She's the lead jammer. Streaking away in the yellow and purple for Newcastle.
Fang gets knocked out, but very quick re-entry.
Just getting some O to break up that wall a little bit.
Holly Funk going through, getting the 5-point Grand Slam.
This time, Fang Fiend just knocked to the outside, having to come back in behind Booger, taking her back just as far as she can. And then re-engaging at the back of the pack.
And
a little bit too far back by the look of that. She's headed off to the Rydell penalty box, as is Godzilla sold separately.
So leaving a very thin pack out there at the moment for Newcastle for this next jam start.
But they managed to add 9 points in that last jam. Takes them up to 17.
35 points for BCR, 17 for Newcastle. Still very, very close. That's only a couple of jams in it.
If that. So Fantastic going to be jamming the next one for Newcastle. And Rocket Mam for Brisbane City Rollers.
Lining up for Newcastle this time against
That
Man, number 455.
the 4 defenders for BCR set up at the back. Debris, the only blocker out there.
Rocket Mam quickly past, and she's the lead jammer. Quickly picks up a lap on this whole pack.
Rocket Man finding that gap.
Oh, explodes through it. Fantastic, meanwhile, is headed off to the penalty box. Sitting in there as the jammer for Newcastle. So Rocket Man in control as the lead jammer, and it is a power jam for her as well. Just Debris, the sole Newcastle blocker left on the track, trying to stop her from getting through.
Brutal Deluxe stopping Debris from running back, just getting in her way.
Debris getting some help back from the Rydell penalty box now. A couple of blockers back joining her. This time, bit of a harder push through the pack for her. She's squeezed off to the inside, doesn't have to yield too far. Again, manages to get across the inside, but not before.
Putting a little toe stop down,
Putting a
getting
toe
that
stop
cut
out.
track. And it looks Fantastic is out of the pack. She's put the star back on her head.
Some comments from home that Godzilla needs to calm down with the penalties. She's headed off a couple of times already. Can't quite see the board. Looks like maybe 3 or 4.
And Fantastic is out. She's got the 5 points.
Yeah, nice spin around the outside there. Spinning, taking the power off the hit. And Godzilla sold separately, just as we're talking about it, heading back to the Rydell penalty box.
It is early in the game to be scoring this many penalties. We are 12 minutes in. Rocket Man, another cut. Just that little toe stop down and momentum carried her in. I think she realised it when she was hopping, but the speed was already carrying her back onto the track. Yes. So short of lifting her legs entirely and dropping would have been the only other option.
So the 4 whistles end the jam. 3 more points indicated for Newcastle. Brings them up to 25. BCR opened up their lead a little bit. They're on 48.
But starting KSAS with a power jam start though.
Oh no, change around.
Oh.
While we weren't looking, Holly Funk has swapped out.
Tag, you're in.
We have an official review from Purple.
And we have an official review from Purple. Son of Skate and a few comments coming through on the feed about your onesie with ruffles. Ruffle-tastic.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much, Al Home.
Yeah, we're having an official review here at the moment. Not quite sure what the topic is. I'm sure we will find out in due course. Meanwhile, I can have a talk about Spank Alley. They're the official armbands of TGSS. They stock top quality armbands, helmet covers, compression pants, lots of cool stuff, including onesies this weekend if you haven't got one yet.
Plus a range of hoodies, compression pants.
And they stock the left turn clothing range now, as well as the Chicks in Bowls merch.
Which is a wonderful movement in itself.
They come too high on the knee, too close to the knee. Or they don't cover up.
So the refs will split and have a chat about this official review now.
Joking, of course, I can't even see his socks, but
There's a chant going up over there. I can't hear what it was.
I'm not sure. The Newcastle supporters seem pretty happy. I think it was "I like your stripes, ref."
And as the day progresses here at the Adelaide Showgrounds, we're in the Wavell Pavilion here for track 1. Crowd starts to get a little bit bigger towards the middle of the day. And as we finish up on some of these pool play games, we'll start heading into the finals later on in the afternoon, and culminating with the big finals tomorrow, both Division 2 and Division 1 finals right here on track 1 tomorrow afternoon.
It's a slow burn. It's a build-up. Like the intensity, yes, it's each game, the players are very intense, but I feel like the games get narrower gaps. They get a little bit scarier. You start pulling out your hair a little bit more.
And we start talking a lot more excitedly about it.
Or we lose our voice, depending on how it goes.
Depending on how many games we've commentated leading up to them.
All right, and they see the official review was for a low block, I think it was. They were trying to say that a hit was... Just waiting for any clarification on that.
We're being brought to you on equipment supplied at a really good rate by BSS Light Audio Visual. Sales, hire and installation of audio visual and lighting systems for all commercial and domestic applications, including functions and conferences.
Without their help, you would not hear our sultry tones. You would not be seeing these wonderful derby games.
That's right.
Turn to the zebra huddle, so we've got it's a historic occasion. It's a...
Jenna reckons Luna is NSOing like a boss.
Preserved on film for posterity.
We're not going to dispute that. I think that it's just a given. I think you've got that. That's just a fact.
Yeah. There's not even any discussion about it.
I think Luna does everything like a boss.
And any NSOing is always like a boss.
Yeah.
Obviously a bit more involved in
Bit of a protracted official review.
Here's what I think. I think they're going to...
Refs coming back to discuss with the team representatives now.
Between the two jammers.
Shirley and Dutchy from the benches, both in there.
The official review. I think that's a fair way to sell it. Because doesn't really do trial by combat anymore. Like, we're not alone here in the Middle Ages. And this pen, which I do not own. Okay. All right, enough of that.
And it looks like we might be drawing to an end in this official review.
Newcastle called an official review.
We've had a request for a roll call of the skating and non-skating officials in this game. Our behind-the-scenes crew are scrambling to get that for you at the moment. We want to get it right.
The review was upheld. We have revised the first scoring pass from 4 to 0.
All right, so an official review there into the scoring before or after a penalty.
Therefore, no points scored on the track, and therefore none of the 3 not on the track points counted. Because you still need to pass that first blocker.
Yeah, so we've just heard that a penalty was issued or wasn't issued, and it has now been issued, and any points that were awarded after that penalty should have been issued have been removed from the score. So that means that we're 26 for Newcastle at the moment, Brisbane on 44 as we get back underway in the roller derby. Holly Funk doing the jamming for Newcastle. She is the only jammer on track at the moment as Rocket Mam starts in the penalty box and makes her way back onto the track now. So the pack has time to steady as they wait for these jammers to re-enter. Holly Funk just knocked to the outside and cycled back.
Rocket Man testing that wall still. Just looking for that inside line. Trying to draw that wall away from it.
Slash Your Heart Scare Bear just getting amongst the action at the back.
Holly Funk taking the outside line for some points.
4. That's because Rocket Man got out of the penalty.
And some big falls on the middle of the track there.
Rocket Man out on her initial pass. Holly Funk going back in for another scoring pass.
Mojo Malicious and Godzilla Soul separately. A little bit slow to get up from that last fall.
And this is our list of referees that are out there at the moment. I think the list of non-skating officials that we have is currently out of date, as this is a very busy tournament and things go wrong, so we have to move people around.
So we've got Axiom Addict, Refucius, Alex Van Dorn, William Skatespear, Target Dummy, Mavericky, and Safonda Cox.
Out there at the moment, K-Sass for Newcastle, and Hooker out there for BCR. K-Sass being recycled back. Hooker out of the pack with lead.
Booger going for a big chase out the front there on Hooker, but unable to make any difference. So she is the lead jammer.
Hooker enters the pack. She's knocked down. She calls it off. And the points there is just the one given out.
Yeah, just one for Brisbane. Sends them up to 45. NRDL closing the gap a little bit. They're on 32, halfway through this first half.
Just hear them breathing behind you as they're trying to pull ahead. But Newcastle not letting them get away at all.
Fantastic taking to the track as the jammer for Newcastle. Necrophilia, 115 for Brisbane City Rollers. And around the inside, Necrophilia is the lead jammer. She explodes past that wall.
Little dancing toe-stop maneuver to take the inside line. Those hips weren't covering quite all the way over the line. Fantastic on the follow-up.
Necrophilia gets back amongst the points, picks up the 4, calls it off, having the control. She's going to chip away. Fang Fiend is going to have a jam one more time for Brisbane City Rollers. And Holly Funk for Newcastle. Rydell penalty box is empty at the start of this jam.
Both jammers being used pretty regularly by both of these teams. Holly Funk looks like she tries to follow Fang through the pack. Doesn't quite work.
Reggie Ramjet just trying to give some assistance to her jammer through the pack there now as well. At the back, getting some offensive support for her through that Brisbane defensive wall.
That Brisbane wall gets scattered for a second, but forms up very quickly. Their reforming is very, very good at that there at the moment.
Debris, the pivot for Newcastle, heading off to the penalty box at the moment, as is Holly Funk, the jammer for Newcastle, picked up for a low block. Fang Fiend will be the only jammer on track, scoring points for the next half a minute.
Fang Fiend dodges on the apex, missing a giant hit and getting out of the pack from Caliente, was it? 100, yep.
Yeah, Booger and Caliente, the only blockers in the front of this pack at the moment. Fang Fiend busts away through them, picks up another quick 5.
A little spinning pirouette on the inside line to get through for that 5 points. Pivot has returned for Newcastle. Debris.
Unforgiving Bonnie.
And Gemma
has headed off to the penalty box for Brisbane.
Newcastle Gemma is returned. And through Holly Funk, she's out.
Yeah, out of the box and through the pack. That's an scoring pass. No, an initial pass.
Fang Fiend calling it off. Just merging them together.
There were skaters and ref signals going everywhere in that jam. But at the end of it, Brisbane City Rollers have ended up with 17 points added to their total, taking them to 66.
Rocket Man and K-Sass on the line.
Yeah, looks like we'll have a 4-5-5 with Rocket Man up against K-Sass.
Just the one in the bin for Brisbane. Unforgiving Bunny standing. She'll be released back to the track soon to give some support.
Rocket Man. Looks like K-Sass is trying to push Rocket Man into her wall, but Rocket Man finding that inside line, getting out lead.
Now we see number 16 for Newcastle, Booger, heading back to the Rydell penalty box.
So I feel like Newcastle have got a couple of blockers that are quite are penalty heavy so far this half.
Yeah, no pack called. Rocket Man able to step through and take advantage, pick up another scoring pass.
KSAS on her way to the Rydell penalty box.
And there's conga line O from the punk blockers at the moment, rushing up and breaking up that defensive wall. Allows Rocket Man to find the hole that much more easily and step on through for 5.
And then catching a blocker at the back to slow the pack back down again, just to help with those lap making.
That's right, that gives them control of the pack definition and doesn't let those blockers string out too far in front.
Rocket Man getting the Grand Slam 5 points. KSAS back from the bin. She's got this star off her head, ready for the pass if need be.
She's just going to try and blend in.
Yeah, just going to sneak on, see if they notice. But it looks like BCR have noticed. They've got a strong 3-wall put against her.
But Mo Money just heading off to the Rydell penalty box. Rocket Man knocked to the outside at turns 3 and 4. She's having to yield back.
Booger takes the star pass.
Unable to do anything with it before Rocket Man ends it.
Rocket Man has the 3 points from that. Thought it was a lot of effort for the extra one.
And number 05, Hooker, is up against Fantastic. BCR one blocker down, so they're going to take the front line.
Fantastic and Hooker doing the respective jamming for Newcastle and Brisbane at the start of this one.
Newcastle with a full wall, Brisbane with 3.
Fierce and packed together.
See Brutal Deluxe holding those blockers firm against the initial impact.
It's just going to be brute force derby. Godzilla with a big hit on Hooker, knocks it to the ground.
The inside line opened up, so they're just 2 blocking. Godzilla holding Hooker. Holding Hooker the best they can at the front.
Reggie Ramjet, meanwhile, heading off to the Rydell penalty box. Hooker manages to clear her way past Godzilla, who's headed back to the Rydell penalty box.
I'm not sure if that was an arm put onto her teammate and getting the multiplayer block with Caliente. Brutal Deluxe with a massive knockout on the outside line.
And look at the punk blockers swarm backwards, take that jammer as far back as they can.
And then they reform that very dangerous triangle.
Hooker, meanwhile, has picked up another 5.
And
Fantastic clear of the pack now. She pulls the star back onto her head. Number 15, Marilyn Tantrum, heading off to the Rydell penalty box there now as well.
Enough pressure to get them to call it off. BCR pulling away now. They're starting to put the pedal down.
That's right. Newcastle a little bit penalty heavy with their blockers in and out of the bin.
BCR on 93, 32 to Newcastle.
But we're going to have another official review. This one will be Newcastle's official review. Gives the skaters a chance to re-energise and refresh. Looks like they're just using it as a timeout, so not actually any call or not call to be reviewed.
Doing that with 8 minutes left.
We just like a rest, thanks.
And the ref's going to make the most of that to fix some track tape and everything while that's happening.
Yeah, fair enough. We can talk about sponsors and helping out while we're here. So Nikki Wallace Design has designed the greatsouthernslam.com.au website. So thank you, that looks great. You can head there and check out all of your score updates and action from the weekend. And Cove Print, they've worked on all the banners and flyers that are all around the Adelaide Showgrounds here this weekend. Really making it a whole heap easier for the Great Southern Slam to operate.
And the official timeout has finished.
Yeah, so Holly Funk and Necrophilia are doing the jamming. No one yet through the pack.
Nick knocked down to the outside, but back up quickly. Holly Funk caught behind a 2-wall.
squeeze her to the outside of the track there now. She's going to have to go back behind Oralulu.
Nick is out. Nick Ophelia out. Left for lead, making her way back towards the pack. And as she enters, opposition jammer gets out on initial pass. Holly Funk out, gets the points, calls it off. So grand total of 4 points scored on that for a 0 for Newcastle. BCR happy just to extend the lead step by step.
And this time, number 16, Booger, is going to be wearing the jammer star for Newcastle. Getting some love from the Newcastle cheer squad the other side of the track here. And she puts on the sprint as the whistle goes, collides with the back of that wall. Fang Fiend, the jammer for Brisbane City Rollers, engaged with the purple and yellow triangle in front.
And it
but
is
Booger brute forces her way through the inside, picks up lead jammer for Newcastle.
The pack looked like an absolute mess there, and she just drove her way through all of it. Both teams just jumbled together. BCR having a firmer wall. Booger getting a back block by the look of it.
And Reggie Ramjet also heading off to the penalty box there for Newcastle's. So Fang Fiend not in control of ending this jam, but now the only jammer on track. 1:20 left to play in the jam.
It'll go for the whole length. She gets a Grand Slam, 5 points.
And that takes Brisbane City Rollers over the 100-point mark now. They're on 102.
BCR letting Fang Fiend hit the pack first before deciding to give offense.
So the jammer lap point added to that one. She picks up 5.
Fang Fiend enters the pack again, gets Newcastle rolling. In comes the offense. Offense screens the inside line. Debris goes for the chest hit. And it's just a glancing blow.
There's some great O from the Brisbane blockers there at the moment. Just
Booger makes it past. Booger makes it through on the outside with a side straddle.
Popular choice of jammer for Newcastle this jam. The crowd are loving her. So are you guys at home.
Big support.
But just getting knocked to the inside.
Booger just knocked to the inside there, having to yield again. It looks like Debris heading off to the right L penalty box.
Booger and Fang Fiend both out of the pack, but time is up on that jam.
The 18 from that jam added to the punk blockers total. Newcastle at 8 brings them up to 40. Brisbane still way out in front, 115. 5 minutes left to play in the first half of this game. This is the Great Southern Slam live from the Adelaide Showgrounds.
Nope, all the rest are ready to go.
And it's Rocket Man on the line for BCR.
Yeah, we're having an official timeout. Alex Van Dorn is over having a chat to Newcastle, and Booger is being penalised. She'll have to go and sit in the right L penalty box as the jammer. So both the jammer and the pivot for Newcastle will be starting this one in the bin.
Yeah, they've already used their official timeout, their official review as a timeout, so they won't be able to contest.
I'm not sure that we're actually having an official review at the moment. Just
I'm saying they won't be able
details.
to. Newcastle have already used theirs as a timeout.
True that. So Rocket Mam is going to be the only jammer on the track, and she will be jamming for Brisbane City. Just the 3 blockers way up the front. Look at them way up on the pivot line. Just giving up that position now to come on back and getting completely surrounded by this Brisbane City blocker wall.
Yeah, because they've got no pivot, they can't get a bit of room off that pivot line. They have to give space to the BCR pivot.
So Rocket Man currently in between this strong defence. Godzilla sold separately, takes it to the inside. Drop Bear takes her out as well, takes herself out in the process, but Rocket Man survives.
She does not let get. She does not let.
She is not lead.
There we go. Words. Thank you very much. She does not get lead.
So the jammer and pivot for Newcastle making their way back onto the track now.
So Booger here will be trying to pick up lead and calling it off probably before more damage is done on the scoreboard.
She's taken to the outside of turn 3.
Rocket Man re-enters the pack, hits Godzilla, no pack called. Godzilla still holding.
Slash Your Heart Scare Bear at the back, just having to take Booger back as far as she explodes through that pack there. Picks up lead jammer, looks to the bench, calls it off.
Not before Rocket Man picks up the 5 points.
As the skaters change around on track, Hooker will be jamming for Brisbane City Rollers.
Holy funk for Newcastle. 124 currently for BCR. Newcastle on 40.
And an official timeout.
Maybe they're just tired as well. Lots of rests.
The refs.
Yeah. It's been a big weekend so far.
That's right.
And importantly, Haig's Chocolates helping keep energy in those refs.
Yeah, that's right. They're one of our sponsors here this weekend as well. So thanks for feeding our officials. We can get back to the roller derby. Holly Funk and Hooker doing the jamming. Right L penalty box clear of skaters for the start of this one. Hooker busts at the front of the pack first. She's the lead jammer.
Hooker re-entering the pack on her scoring pass. Pushes into the back of the into the side of the other jammer.
Holly Funk just unable to move past this strong Punk Blockers defence right now. She's pushed off on the inside again.
No, it wasn't into the side. I was right. It was into the back. There was that back block. And so she's gone to the bin. It'll go for the full 2 minutes. She was the lead. So we got a
minute 20 left to go in this one. It'll be another long one for these skaters on track. Holly Funk now getting amongst it, takes a big hit from Brutal Deluxe, unable to knock her off the track. She maintains her position and picks up the 5.
Debris and Drop Bear trying to hold a BCR blocker so they can get that blocking pack at the front out of play.
Holly Funk round the outside but gets interrupted by Kimbo Kazi.
Holly Funk just brought way back towards the pivot line. Kimbo Kazi doing the work there.
Coming straight out Hooker from the bin through the pack.
Picks up a quick 4. Debris heading
gets
off
another
to the
5.
Debris heading off to the penalty box. And as is Reggie Ramjet, already a couple of Newcastle blockers in the bin. She should have space to sit down. One is standing ready to return to the track.
Holy Funk getting recycled back again. That's a second or third drawback on that apex.
Hooker back amongst it, just wanted to get past at the front.
Another grand slam.
Marilyn Tantrum unable to contain her, and another Newcastle blocker heading off to the penalty bin. Let's Drop Bear this time.
That is the end of that jam. BCR doing a good job of keeping the pack thin in their favour by drawing those blocker penalties.
That's right. I think there were 4 Newcastle blocker penalties in that jam, and Holly Funk now sitting down in the right L penalty box as well. So Necrophilia will have a power start. So thanks for all you guys at home letting us know where you're from. There's a bunch from Brisbane, some from Newcastle, Hawkesbury, Sydney, but hanging out in the Gong. Necrophilia, lead jammer for Brisbane. Slow pack, tries to steady at the front. Couple of blockers at the front for Newcastle. Not wide enough to hold Necrophilia in.
Skips over Godzilla's butt as she moves towards the inner line. Now BCR's wall trying to hold a blocker at the back.
Solidly in there. And a cut track penalty that's being issued to Reggie Ramjet. She'll head back to the right L penalty box from which she came. Holly Funk back amongst it now, trying to scramble her way through these red defenders. Necrophilia chased down by Godzilla at the front, but escapes.
And the cut track is drawn on the Newcastle jammer. Holy Funk sent to the right L penalty box again. But looks like she'll have a bit of company.
Necrophilia also picking up a cut track penalty.
So this will be the final jam of this half. We'll go for the rest of the length.
Another 40 seconds left to go in it.
Holy Funk out of the bin. She's been released.
Necrophilia also released now as well, just serving exactly the same time that Holly Funk had sat in there in the jammer turnaround in the penalty box.
Newcastle giving offense. Their wall getting split while they give offense, leaving just 2 defenders up the front.
Look at these defenders rolling around in front of these jammers, not willing to let anyone through. Number 15, Marilyn Tantrum. Another blocker penalty for Newcastle to close out this half.
Holy Funk going through the pack.
Looks like, I think that's Regulator for Brisbane also heading off to the penalty box. So both of these teams will start the next half a blocker down as we go into half-time. Brisbane City Rollers have the early lead. They picked up 19 in that last jam. They're on 163, way out in front of Newcastle, currently on 49. The second half has all the game to play. Join us back here in about 15 minutes' time for the second half of this game at TGSS 2016. All right, just about to get back into the roller derby here for the second half of this game between Newcastle and Brisbane City Rollers. Brisbane have the convincing lead at the moment. They're out on 167, Newcastle on 49. This is the Great Southern Slam in 2016.
Now, I feel like the biggest part of the score difference is being reflected in the penalties on the Newcastle side. As we head into this next period, we've got two blockers in the penalty bin, the Rydell penalty bin, one from each team. We've got Fang Fiend on the line for BCR.
And Holly Funk, number 3 for Newcastle.
Both hitting into those 3 walls. Holly Funk funneled into the BCR wall. Fang Fiend pushing hard against that Newcastle wall at the front. Both teams, Godzilla sold separately, cycling BCR Jammer to the back of the pack. And the walls, that cycle back was quite a large drag back, and the wall didn't bungee back together to form a solid defence.
Yeah, Fang Fiend gets out past those blockers now. She's the lead jammer for Brisbane. Holly Funk about a third of a lap behind. Fiend amongst the points now. Gets around the outside, just manages to call it off.
Yeah, very quick re-entry there by Fang Fiend to burn away those Newcastle blockers.
That's right, heading back behind the line now. Fantastic and Rocket Man. We're going to go into an official timeout straight away in this second half. And during the intermission, Mod did let us know that Dirge is watching. Hi, Dirge. I'm sorry for calling Unforgiving Bunny Unforgiving Bonnie. So, yeah, thanks for watching, everybody at home.
Thanks for keeping us honest.
That's right.
Not all of us can be honest, Dave.
All right, and we're back on. The clock is about to restart.
Fantastic and Rocket Man lining up.
No, we're still officially out of time.
Oh, they're back.
So many vendors here at the showgrounds this weekend. They've got Rydell and DeClinic, Hellcat Clothing, Spank Alley. All of the leagues have brought their gear along as well. If you're in Adelaide, or even if you're not, come to Adelaide, come to the showgrounds, check out all of the vendors and buy heaps and heaps of stuff.
We cannot resume the game, so we're going to have an unscheduled official timeout.
Okay, and I've just learned that our official timeout at the moment may be an extended one. Skaters just being asked to return to their benches. We don't have any medical coverage on the track at the moment, as the paramedics on site are dealing with an injury away from the track. So just some love from Holly Funk there to all you guys in Newcastle. Monty on the YouTube comments. NRDL born, raised CCRDU, and Bruce's Juniors. Booger says hi too.
Yeah, so skaters just trying to keep warm as we wait for this official timeout. BCR stopping to give a bit of a wave as well on the way past.
What, derby skaters knowing where the cameras are? Surely not. So have I mentioned already that the Adelaide Showgrounds, this great venue where we are, all 5 tracks of TGSS here at the Adelaide Showgrounds. We're in the Wavell Pavilion, and the Showgrounds have put in a bid for the Women's Flat Track Roller Derby World Cup in 2007. So we're in an extended official timeout here at the moment. Skaters trying to keep warm on the track. We'll bring the action back to you just as soon as we can. All right, the official timeout has been blown over by the rolling whistle. We can go back to the roller derby. Fantastic and Rocket Man doing the jamming.
And they're out and about. Fantastic at the front of the pack with that BCR wall. Rocket Man struggling against the Newcastle Fours at the back. No, she's got the inside line. She's sneaky. She's following out the Newcastle Gemma.
Ghosted her out of the pack. Slash Your Heart Scare Bear heading off to the penalty box.
Fantastic, calling it early so that they've got the pack advantage. Getting the full 30 seconds with the pivot in the box of Scare Bear.
And Hooker, number 05 for Brisbane, behind the jammer line, and number 16, a popular choice, Booger for Newcastle. She takes the front position. Beats the chest there off the line as well.
And it's a very slow start. And it's starting to speed up.
Booger looking to the outside, just taken out on the outside of the track. It's Brutal Deluxe. It's taken her out and taken her way back down towards the pivot line. She's having to start again from the back.
Yeah, Brutal Deluxe quickly jumped off to avoid a collision but got the skating out of bounds.
So Hooker has escaped from the pack. She is the lead jammer. And Axiomatic just coming across and giving a cut track penalty to Booger, so she'll head off to the right L penalty box. So it's a power jam for Hooker in favour of Brisbane City Rollers.
BCR blockers getting in there and breaking up the shapes.
Hooker escapes and gets all 5 points for that last pass. Hole opens up in the middle. She blasts on through it and getting wrapped up at the front there, but unsuccessfully. Have to let it go.
Yeah, taking that gap, and just as it closes up, sneaking through.
Booger back on track from the bin now. Kimbo Kazi making her re-enter back as far as possible. Scare Bear now taking her back even further still.
Kimbo Kazi and Scare Bear holding at the back of the pack.
Reggie Ramjet coming up and trying to get in the middle of that Brisbane shapes. Hooker heading off to the penalty box there now, so we'll have a turnaround. 20 seconds left to skate. Booger, the only jammer on track at the moment, holds that outside line up on one skate, manages to stay in bounds.
Taking blocker after blocker one at a time, shaking them off.
The pack tries to reform now, just being held up from reforming there. Godzilla sold separately, preventing Brutal Deluxe from rejoining, but she does so now.
And safely protecting their points towards the end there.
Hooker is standing in the penalty box, so she'll be ready to get back on track shortly after this next jam commences. 4 blockers apiece for each team in front of the jammer line. Holly Funk, the jammer for Newcastle. And these defensive formations mobile right up until the first whistle blows. Holly Funk looking for the outside, puts on some speed as she does so and sprints away to be lead jammer.
Holly Funk getting in there for the scoring pass.
Hooker back on track meanwhile. She's made her initial pass, stepping on through.
Holly Funk through points call, 4 points. 183 to BCR, 53 to Newcastle.
Switch and change round now. Case Sass going to be jamming for Newcastle. And 115 for BCR. Necrophilia back in the star helmet cover one more time. I thought there was a Brisbane blocker in the penalty box, but she's way up in the front of the grill of the Newcastle defensive wall.
And see, they've sending back a blocker to get in the middle of the Newcastle wall. It seems to have worked. They've separated the wall into 2 different 2 walls. Godzilla sold separately, last line of defence, but it's not enough. Nick gets through for lead.
Casas had just been taken off on the outside, Unforgiving Bunny, making her yield a few metres on the track. but she's out of the pack now.
KSS approaching the pack. Nick in the pack, calling it.
Big hit, stops her in her tracks, knocks her to the knees. She calls off the jam, having picked up 2, 3.
Looks like Nick favouring one of her legs when she skated off then. Might have been a bit of a heavy hit down on the knee.
Fantastic and Fang Fiend. All the Fs taking on the jamming. An official timeout just for some track repair. Just taking the time, the refs, to fix up some of the tape on the track. I'd hate to imagine how much tape is being used over the course of this weekend. Sticky tape everywhere. Multiple layers of sticky tape go to put these tracks down on the cold, hard concrete.
Not those ones. Most of the armbands. So,
let alone,
if you want to smack out the armband, probably go see them.
Looks like the official timeout is finished.
Both of these jammers moving back from the line. They're going to take a running start at this wall. Fang Fiend crashes into the back of number 93, Vanilla Bean for Newcastle. Punches a hole in the wall. She's taken to the outside.
Fang Fiend thrown to the ground.
Fantastic battling away at the front, but Fang Fiend accelerates through the pack. She's the lead jammer for Brisbane. Fantastic not too far behind.
Half a lap probably.
4 blockers at the front there for Newcastle, just a couple at the back for Brisbane. They're joined by Kimbo Kazi, who's going to try and get in the way and pushes Fantastic off into her own blockers.
Only the 1 point there on the board for BCR, but every 1 point counts. That's how you build a lead.
Rocket Mam and Holly Funk, the jamming match up again once more. Just the 2 blockers on track in the front position there for BCR. Rocket Mam going to take a running start at this line. Aims straight for the middle in between Vanilla Bean and Debris.
Looking for that seam. It doesn't quite break open, but she finds an inside line anyway as the wall shimmies apart.
And it's a jammer race. Both of these jammers getting down low, getting on the speed around these turns.
Maybe 10 feet apart.
The pack runs away from them. Brutal Deluxe at the front. Unforgiving Bunny trying to join her, blocked from doing so.
The longer this jam goes, the better for BCR as they're getting blockers out of the bin as it continues to roll. They've now got a full pack in each direction.
Mo Money and Regulator able to rejoin. Booger knocked to the ground, and that pack moves away from her. The jam ends. You've got 1 for Newcastle, 2 on the board for Brisbane City Rollers.
And Brisbane got 2 extra blockers out of the bin. So I think the win there wasn't the 1 point on the scoreboard, but getting a full pack for the next lineup.
So the Rydell penalty box is now empty, being cleared after that last one. Hooker will be doing the jamming. And up against her, Kay Sass for Newcastle. Hooker goes to the outside. Kay Sass looks to the inside. Some skaters down in the middle and exploding out the front. Kay Sass, 49 for Newcastle, is your lead jammer. Hot on her heels is Hooker. Again, this pack picks up some speed. The punk blockers, signaled by Scarebear, trying to get the front position and just trying to run this pace out. K-Sass headed off to the penalty box. I missed what the call was for, but that gives Hooker the power jam now. Stringing these blockers out in front. No pack is called. They have to let it go for the 5 points.
5 more points on the board.
Now the pack has time to settle down. The 3 Newcastle blockers at the front, keeping a close eye on where these punk blockers are. Behind, Hooker rejoins, and the offence breaks up the wall, changes the shape, and lets Hooker jump on through for 5 more. 199 now the score for Brisbane City Rollers.
Brisbane City Rollers defenders being very careful as they go in for O to not speed up the pack too much and make the most of it.
K-Sass making her way back onto the track, cycled way back. Blockers go out of play, have to reform. And a big hit to the outside. KSS taken out. Hooker hanging ferociously onto this outside line. Booger pushes her out finally, but she goes down herself. And Hooker and everybody down.
Each time that she went out, somebody else fell down and became a repetitious. Didn't realise that somebody else had stayed up.
So Hooker now being assessed as having cut the track. She's headed off to the Rydell penalty box. A blocker from each team joining her in there. So Debris now wearing the star for Newcastle, having received the star pass. Doesn't add any more points. And Brisbane have broken the 200.
We have 19 minutes left in this last half of the game.
And Holly Funk stepping up to the jammer plate for Newcastle. She will be starting off in a power jam.
Holly Funk at the moment. Nope, looks like we have an official timeout.
I'm not quite sure what this official timeout is in favour of. We've got some NSOs comparing notes, making sure that all the things are tracked.
Maybe recounting the score on that last pass, 16-2.
It looks like Hooker is leaving the penalty box, so she's been released from the Rydell penalty box. So a penalty may have been overturned, which frees up Nick Raphilia to take her place behind the jammer line.
So there may have been a bit of discussion about how when she was knocked out, the blocker that knocked her out may have dropped to a knee for a split second, and whether or not that was because they were down, she was legally allowed to re-enter, and it may have been missed and given her the cut track.
Yeah, right, so her penalty removed from the penalty board in the middle of the track. Nick Raphilia doing the jamming for BCR. Holly Funk for Newcastle. Scrambling around behind these very, very mobile blocker walls from both teams at the moment. Both teams brought back. Godzilla brings Nick Raphilia back as far as the pivot line. But she puts on some pace and still Godzilla at the front. Unable to wrap her up now. Nick Raphilia is your lead jammer.
She's out of the pack and moving in for a scoring pass. Holly Funk still caught in the pack.
I'm seeing a cut track penalty assessed on. That is on Holly Funk. She's heading off to the Rydell penalty box.
Penny still in hand, so there was no pass of the penny. So this will be a power jam.
Some big hits in the middle of the pack there. Reggie Ramjet just giving some attention to her face. Might have taken one to the nose.
Nick getting swept towards the outside line by Godzilla, but she's able to slide out of it, take the inside where Godzilla left her space.
Stationary pack resets now.
They wait for that jammer to commit before giving off fence, opening up an inside line.
Looks like Reggie Ramjet may have just taken herself off the track then. She's slowly making her way around the outside. May have a bit of blood. We'll have a look as she makes her way past us here now.
Yeah, it looks like she's got a cut lip.
So she's brought herself off the track, skated her way back to the bench area. Ice Pack in attendance. Nick Raphilia, meanwhile, has added 5 more points to the Brisbane City total.
And it looks like Kimbo Kazi will be going to the Rydell penalty box.
A couple of Newcastle skaters down at the back.
Holly Funk trying to sneak past that Brisbane wall stretched out to keep pack definition.
So at the conclusion of that jam, 4 more indicated for BCR. That's a 24-point jam for Nick Raphilia right there. Newcastle held scoreless for that one, still on 56.
Fang Fiend out on the line for BCR. Fantastic for Newcastle.
The Booger just having a word to the officials in the middle of the track. Possibly about that hit on Reggie.
Reggie tailing down, icing their mouth at the moment. Fantastic.
Number 11, Fang Fiend for BCR, battering away at the back of this purple and yellow wall at the moment. Number 15, Marilyn Tantrum, heading off to the penalty box. Fang Fiend allowed to escape out the front.
Fang Fiend at one point knocked onto one foot and just using core strength to bring herself back level just to stay in bounds.
Slash Your Heart Scarebear also heading off to the penalty box.
And the pack is speeding up a little bit. Fang Fiend maybe with a back block there. Yep, it looks like it's been called.
Looks like Drop Bear was just at the front of that pack as well. She was knocked to the ground. If there's any place you don't want to be knocked over, it's right at the front of a sprinting pack.
So the Rydell penalty box is looking reasonably full with 3 skaters in it, 2 standing, 1 jammer sitting.
Both of those standing skaters making their way back onto the track now.
Both pivots have now rejoined the action.
Fantastic, still trying to get past these blockers at the front.
See Newcastle's offense starting to set up to do a sweep.
Marilyn Tantrum, Vanilla Bean, and Drop Bear trying to make a hole. Get their jammer through. She picks up 5. Fantastic.
Sometimes you can see the opposition setting up, but there's not much you can do. And when they're all coordinated, just leaves gaps everywhere. Godzilla sold separately. Seems to be bracing that wall, trying to keep that BCR blocker with them.
Drop Bear doing the bridge out. Vanilla Beans headed off to the penalty box. Marilyn Tantrum trying to form the bridge as well. Still allowing Godzilla to engage that jammer at the front of the pack. She gets through for 4 more points.
4 points to BCR, 13 to Newcastle. 233 to BCR, 69 to Newcastle Roller Derby.
And number 49, KSAS, coming up against number 455, Rocket Man.
KSAS will be doing the jamming for Newcastle this time round. And Rocket Man for BCR. The blockers make their way up towards the pivot line. Just 3 each on the track right now. 1 blocker from each team sitting in the Rydell penalty box. And we're having an official timeout. Thankfully a short one.
Blocker in the Rydell penalty box.
5 seconds called. Rocket Man nearly stumbles over, excited to get the jam underway.
They'll be poised there counting the 5 seconds in their head. When can I go? Rocket Man, a big hit on the outside.
Rocket Man switching to the inside to get lead. But no, not lead. Doesn't get lead, is back in the pack. KSAS lead, realises she has it, calls it off.
All the action was on the far side of the track there. Unforgiving Bunny being knocked to the outside, right in front of photographers. If there's anywhere you want to get knocked off the track, it's right in front of the togs.
If it was me, I'd be knocked out, and it would be the most uncoordinated face, most unflattering. Every time I get a photo knocked towards a photographer.
Holly Funk jamming for Newcastle, and Hooker, number 05 for Brisbane City. Holly Funk just being brought back over the jammer line by Slash Your Heart Scarebear. And a big hit on the far side of the track. That's down on turn 2. That's Booger absolutely dropping Hooker on the outside of the track there. Takes her a second to get back up, but she's quickly back amongst it.
She had the lead. She got out, but got the clip sent flying. Calls it off because I've had enough.
Surprised she had the strength to call it off after that hit from Booger on the outside. Necrophilia and Fantastic.
Full 4 wall out there for Newcastle, set up at the back.
Just the one in the bin for Brisbane City. It's Unforgiving Bunny. She's standing. She won't be long off the track. A slow start, patiently trying to find the holes in these walls. One skate on the inside. She's able to come back in behind safely. Necrophilia cutting the track, heading to the bin.
Looked like she had been pushed out with her teammates on that one.
Booger also heading off to the Rydell box.
Clockwise block sent out at the front of the pack.
Fantastic at the back. Still trying to get through on an initial. She has the star off, just struggling to get that back on again. She's being closed off on the outside.
Brutal Deluxe taking a spill as she goes into the right L penalty box. She wants to get in there quick and serve her time.
Fantastic clear of the pack now. Not lead jammer. Over a minute left to play in this jam, and it will go that full minute.
And Nick is standing in the penalty box.
And just the big backwards push to the outside by Nasty. Takes Fantastic out with her, and look how far back on the track they're taking her.
That is absolutely soul crushing when you're nearly out of the pack, and to be recycled that far.
Necrophilia just getting in on the action there. Fantastic stepping through on the inside, taking a hit from the opposing jammer. Bounces back up again, picks up the points.
But being followed very closely by Nick, probably quarter lap behind, if that. Nick coming in with more speed than Fantastic to the pack.
And both jammers simultaneously hitting this pack just to chase out the front by Brutal Deluxe. Does she manage to keep the outside line? No, she doesn't. She's assessed a cutting the track penalty.
She knew it before she even looked up on that one.
And she doesn't know Necrophilia is also heading off to the penalty box. She puts on a sprint at the end there to get to the seat before Necrophilia and release simultaneously.
Brutal Deluxe coming out, making a big hit, drawing the cut track, and then making her way to the penalty box again.
Jam clock runs out.
233 to BCR. 76 to Newcastle. 7 points in that jam to Newcastle.
10 minutes left to play in the half.
Are there any Brisbane fans in the audience right now? Okay, there you are. What about Newcastle?
We line up for Jam 13 in this second half. We're going to have an official review called by Brisbane City Rollers. Team representatives make their way in to confer with the referees. You can keep your eye on all of the standings and events from this weekend's tournament on the Facebook pages of the Great Southern Slam. They're also all over the other socials, Instagram and Twitter, and thegreatsouthern.com.au. Beautifully designed by Nikki Wallace Design, that website. Also helping us out this weekend, The Clinic Skate Shop. They have a shop right here in Adelaide, or you can visit theclinic.com online. You can enjoy free delivery on all your online orders Australia-wide. They can help you with all your derby needs.
A lovely range of stuff. And also I saw Spank Alley to celebrate Onesie Sunday is selling. You can go over there and check it out as well.
So we're in the middle of an official review at the moment. An official review called by Brisbane. Refs and officials are conferring as we speak. On track, Holly Funk lining up, ready to start the next jam as jammer for Newcastle. Just getting some love from the Newcastle cheer squad over in the bleachers.
And we're still waiting for a little bit of information on that official review. Try not to keep you in the dark for long.
Period clock has paused with just under 10 minutes left to go. At the moment, I can see number 16 for Newcastle, Booger, just making her way away from the track. Looks like she may have racked up 7 penalties. Axiom Addict about to give us an update.
An official review for a potential illegal box entry and no penalty stance.
So the official view was for the illegal box entry. It was probably on Brutal Deluxe when she came in and sprawled, but she didn't contact the seat and didn't push it.
So the no call will stand, and Brisbane will have used their official review for the second half.
That's a discretionary penalty.
So Fang Fiend jamming for Brisbane City. Holly Funk for Newcastle. Nobody yet clear of the pack. Holly Funk now able to get past on the inside. Steps past her own. And she's given a cut track penalty.
She did not look happy about it at all.
And that'll leave the gates wide open for Fang Fiend.
Looks like Debris is also heading off. Possibly for a high block.
And that'll probably be Debris' 7th as well.
Yeah, so we may see another skater from Newcastle about to leave the playing area. Fang Fiend, meanwhile, surviving a couple of big hits out the front. Drop bear. And Marilyn Tantrum teaming up. Fang Fiend indicated for 4 more points. Not picking up the jammer point. One of those skaters not passed legally on the track.
Fang Fiend calling it, icing Holly Funk in the bin.
So she'll start the next one in the Rydell penalty box. Meanwhile, for Brisbane City, making her way back behind the jammer line, Rocket Mam.
Stepping up to the crease. And she'll be starting off on a power jam as Holly Funk is still sitting in our Rydell penalty box.
Yeah, that's right. Son of Skate and Debris heading off from the playing area, having fouled out of the game. So Rocket Man with the power start is clear of the pack almost before the pivot line. She's your lead jammer.
Yep, she's coming in for the scoring pass already. Rocket Man gliding through. She's got the 5 points.
Holly Funk back on track now, clear of the pack on her initial pass.
Rocket Man trying to take the 1.
This time Brutal Deluxe for BCR heading off to the penalty box. She's got the pivot cover on, so Scare Bear just throwing the pivot cover back to the bench area as she makes her way over to the track.
Well, we got a gap between the game. Big shout out to Doris and the Maitland Roller Girls.
We have a 0-5 hooker stepping up to the plate to jam for.
You're listening at home. We're thinking about you.
And an official timeout. So timeout heavy in this second half of this game today, which means that we're running a little bit over time at the moment, and I can just see Rocket Mam heading off to the penalty box. So that means Hooker is going to head back to the bench, and we're just going to start this next one with K Sass, the power start, the power jam for Newcastle.
Yeah, so on that last pass, she spun and touched on the inside of the line.
And barely even a touch. K Sass gets on through. She's the lead jammer. The couple of blockers on track for BCR, unable to touch her on that initial.
Being careful not to speed up the pack too much.
But that's exactly what BCR are trying to do at the moment. Get their jammer and their other blocker out of the bin. Scare Bear just takes K Sass out on the outside.
Rocket Man returning from the bin with a pivot as aid. Doesn't need it. Takes the inside line. She's through on her initial. K Sass on her scoring pass. Has she picked up all 4?
Let's see what she's picked up here. We've got 4 fingers held in the air, so 4 added to the Newcastle total. Brisbane City Rollers held scoreless for that jam. 2:42, still leading Newcastle on 82. 6.5 minutes left to play.
Now, as you've said on this one, we've had it over the hot length of this game. We've had a fair few official timeouts. I've actually need to get going. Thanks for having me.
You're about to be on another track, son of
Yeah, I'm about to run off to track 2, VRDL Bendigo. So thank you for having me here.
No worries at all. We'll see you again very shortly. Meanwhile, sticking around here on the track, Holly Funk, number 3 for Newcastle, and 0-5 Hooker for Brisbane City Rollers. 1 in the bin for Newcastle.
Well, thanks to Son of Skating there. I'm going to relieve him for the last 6 minutes of this game.
Yeah, and I'm just hearing that Reggie Ramjet has become the 3rd skater to foul out of this game for Newcastle. So looking a little bit slim in the lineup now for heavy-hitting blockers for Newcastle. So right now, Hooker jamming for Brisbane City. She's the lead jammer at the moment. And Godzilla heading off to the penalty box.
That will be her 7th too, won't it?
In fact, all of the skaters heading off to the penalty box. There's actually a lineup now for the Brisbane City Rollers in the penalty box. Kimbo Kazi just sent back onto the track. She will need to serve a penalty as soon as a spot becomes available for her.
Now the jam ending, that means Kimbo Kazi will be a must skate in the next
So Brisbane City ended up 5
so that she can serve
out of that jam. 0 points added for Newcastle. Kimbo Kazi will need to stay on track because she's in the lineup for one of those Rydell penalty box seats.
They're hard seats to come by in the last minutes of this game.
Absolutely fully loaded in there. All 4 blocker positions in the penalty box occupied at the moment. Fantastic. And Necrophilia doing the jamming, and only 2 blockers each to get past. Necrophilia takes a big hit to the inside. Drop bear takes her out on the inside of the track, but she bounces off it, and in his lead jammer.
Some amazing footwork, but there by Nick to get past the front blocker in the pack. She is your lead jammer. She is almost back to the pack, which is flying around the track here at the Adelaide Showground.
I can see Kimbo Kazi heading off to the Rydell penalty box now. She was issued a high block penalty in that jam. She also has one in the bank that she still has to sit for a penalty in the previous jam. So Necrophilia gets amongst the points and calls it off, adds 4 more.
Brisbane City Rollers coming away with 4 points, Newcastle 0.
Just over 4 minutes left in this game. BCR are on 251 points, NRDL 82.
Skaters line up. The next lot of skaters on track. Kay Sass jamming for Newcastle. Fang Fiend, number 11 for Brisbane City. The whistle has blown. No movement for the first few seconds. Fang Fiend just knocks Kay Sass to the outside. Unable to send her back too far. Both jammers keen to get back amongst the action. Godzilla still on track here at the moment, FTP. She may have still one penalty up her sleeve. She will need to be careful for the next 3.5 minutes.
I think I may have miscounted those marks on the board from a distance, but yes, she is still on the track, so perhaps one left.
All the skaters clear of the penalty box now. It's a scrum on the far side of the track. We're seeing one heading off to the penalty box. It's Brutal Deluxe for BCR.
Those seats certainly aren't lasting long.
Barely got time to cool down those penalty box seats in this latter stages of this second half. Marilyn Tantrum just trying to take Fang Fiend back as far as possible. She goes out of play. Fang Fiend can just wait for her to get back in front. Fang Fiend just knocked to the infield. I wasn't sure if she was trying to call it then or not. I don't think we have a lead jammer at this stage. This solid 3-wall at the moment, anchored by Godzilla at the front. Unable to get Fang Fiend out, and we do have a lead jammer now.
It is Kay Sass from NRDL.
Still this pushy pack, just crossing across turn 1 at the moment. Kay Sass back amongst it now. She's the lead jammer. She has control of how long this jam can go for. Godzilla just wrapping that jammer up at the front again. Has to finally let her go now. Have both jammers clear of the pack. Kay Sass amongst the points, calls it off.
Just over 2 minutes left to go. We're into the last couple of jams here. It's going to take a heroic effort for Newcastle to bring it back from this point, but
Godzilla sold separately, had been sitting in the Rydell penalty box, but she has now been asked to leave the playing area. 93 Vanilla Bean taking her place in the box to serve the penalty, but that is the 4th foul out from Newcastle Roller Derby League in this game. We're going to have a team timeout now called.
Looks like Brisbane City Rollers calling the team timeout.
Just under 2 minutes left to play in this game.
This is, of course, the first timeout Brisbane have used in this game.
We're already 5 minutes over time. We'll spend another couple of minutes here before we can start the next game on track 1.
We may have to skip the post-game interviews for this one, so we're in time for the next game on this track.
So it looks like Holly Funk will be the next jammer lining up for Newcastle, and Rocket Mam will take the star for Brisbane as soon as we get past this team timeout.
So we've certainly had a timeout and penalty-heavy game here on track number 1 at the Great Southern Slam.
Tell you what, FTP, I am looking forward to the after party here at the TGSS 2016, brought to you by Rydell.
Would that be the 80s prom?
Yeah, at Rydell High. So the sign at the end of the room there says big hair, big prizes, big fun. If you're coming down to TGSS, tomorrow will be the day to do it and get yourself to that after party as well.
Doesn't matter where you are in the country, you should get yourself to Adelaide tomorrow. Come and watch the finals here in person. It's even better than watching it on the stream.
It's not too late to make your way down from Margaret River. All right, so the team timeout has ended. Now we've gone into an official timeout. Vanilla Bean just not entirely sure if she should be staying in the penalty box. Axiomatic asks her to remain in her seat. They'll have a chat about it some more. Skaters will relax again.
Axiom Addict getting his referees back into position. It looks like we're about to go back to the action. No. Head referee Axiom Addict skating off behind us out to the dressing rooms by the look of it to have a quick word with Gajilla. I think he may be suggesting she put her skates back on.
Well, if that's the case, that would certainly be something that I haven't seen happen here before.
That is correct. Her 7th penalty has been overturned. Gajilla is coming back to the track.
So just under 2 minutes left to play. Vanilla Bean will be released from the box, who was serving Gajilla's penalty, and Gajilla herself will be reintroduced to the game, her 7th penalty having been overturned.
Gajilla already has her gear off in the far end of the pavilion here, so not sure she's actually planning to put her gear back on to return to the track. So
very exciting news, but
all right. Well, everything crazy happening here in this game on track 1.
It's getting all rulesy, FTP. Somebody knows what it's about.
It would have been an interesting rules conversation in the centre of the track.
9-2 was overturned. That was her 7th penalty. She is now returning to her bench with 6 penalties.
all right, so
If you could hear that, that was head referee Axiom Addict from Wollongong. He just letting the audience here know that Gajilla is back on her team bench. She is on 6 penalties now. The 7th has been overturned. She's got 1 more left. We've got just under 2 minutes left.
And that is something I've never seen in all my time watching roller derby.
and therefore
We're just going to try to get you some vision of Gajilla on her bench now. There we go. We have the Newcastle bench. Gajilla getting her skates on as quickly as possible. Back to the action on the track, though.
Ruggerman and Holly Funk going head to head. Ruggerman getting knocks to the inside. Malintention.
So Ruggerman on the outside now for Brisbane City Rollers. Oh, I thought she'd gotten through the pack, but she's heading off to the right L penalty box. She's picked up a cut track penalty.
Try and get through. Honolulu regulator and more money.
And skaters down on turns 1 and 2 at the moment. Holly Funk just trying to get her way back into the action, pushing her way past these defenders at the back. Just one in front left to get past. She takes to the knees. She's made it through. A minute 12 left on this jam clock. She is the only jammer on track at the moment and not in control of ending the jam. So we'll go the full time. Holly Funk pushed to the outside, forced to yield her position on the track. Rocket Man back amongst it now. Drops the drop bear on her way through the pack, pushes her way through. That's an initial pass for her. She'll be in the points next time round. And going for the jump across the inside, unable to complete it. She'll have to stand back up and come in at the back of the pack. And again, firmly across on the inside. That's Tantrum pushing her out there. But she's given a directional block, and she'll need to go and sit in the right L penalty box probably until the end of this game.
So with just 13 seconds left on the period clock, 21 seconds left on the jam clock, we may not go into another jam. Gajilla is just getting up on her skates now. She may be able to play one more jam if we have one.
Depends if... No, the period clock has expired now. It's all in the hands of the jam timer. 3 seconds left to play. Rocket Man going to try and get another rack of points on the board before she does so. Hits the back of the pack. No more points indicated. Newcastle get 4 more for that last point, and that takes them to 94. So as all the timers run out, our unofficial final score is Newcastle Roller Derby League 94, defeated by Brisbane City Rollers on 260.
Well, thank you very much, Bob. It's been a pleasure calling this one, the last part of this one with you.
Likewise. Thank you very much, Flat Track Protocol.
And thank you to Son of Skaten, who had to head off to another track to urgently announce another game.
That game was all rulesy. There was timeouts everywhere, official reviews, official timeouts. We had a 7th penalty and a foul out overturned. Godzilla Soul separately being returned to the track at the end of that one. That was a fascinating game to watch and an interesting one to call. But plenty more roller derby still to come. There'll be another game right here on track 1 coming up almost straight away.
Our clock says currently 14 minutes, so we may have time to get some interviews in for you.
And this is TGSS 2016.
Brought to you by Adelaide Roller Derby and all of our amazing sponsors, the Adelaide Showground, Rydell, Spank Alley, The Clinic, Hellcat Clothing and BSS Light and Sound. This has been Flat Track Protocol. You're watching the Great Southern Slam.
Right, I'm here with Debris from Newcastle. Tough game out there. That was big hitting.
From both teams, yeah, it was, oh wow, we fought till the end, but yeah, we did our best, we worked as a team and, just didn't make it through. That's okay though.
Yeah, there was no giving up. Every single jam, you guys were putting it on the line. How was it mentally? It looked like that was almost the toughest part.
Yeah, I think the mental game was definitely the hardest part. There was kind of a bit of this and that from both teams. The mental game is probably the toughest part, be it that we're exhausted. It's a tournament, so we're playing lots of games. We're, here all day. Then trying to work together, work as a team. And then, as I said, that's that backwards and forwards between the two teams. That's really hard as well. So, yeah.
And Newcastle played BCR a few times in the past. There's a bit of a rivalry. How is the team different this time?
We played them, that's probably 2-3 years ago. So, even I know we've changed as a team in the matter of 2 years. They've really changed as a team in the matter of 3. So, teams are always changing, always improving. We didn't know what we were coming up against compared to the team we played 3 years ago. So, yeah, it was good. They've really improved.
Well, it was pretty exciting to watch last night. A strong victory today. Unfortunately, not quite the same result. But I hope you have a fun rest of the TGSS, and we'll see you on the track.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
All right, and victorious in that game, BCR, big, strong points victory. How was that game?
We knew even from 2 years ago, as they said, we played with them and they slaughtered us just a little bit last time. So we knew they had big hitters. We knew the offense was going to be there. We've worked really hard on our offense in the last year, really worked on getting those effective passes and getting those points as well. So even though the first couple of jams are what we call pancakes, it's never a good first batch. After that, we really got it together and made sure that we were shutting down those jammers and making sure their offense wasn't as effective against us.
Well, the penalties were a bit of a story in that game. How did you manage that, not letting that kind of penalty spiral come in? I'm usually one of those people, and I wasn't today. So it's a matter of we train a lot with just 3 on the track, and we do it deliberately so you can work in those formations. We make sure that we trust everybody that's out there with us, so we don't have to worry too much. If one goes, we can trust the other ones with us to keep it up. Well, from a spectator point of view, it definitely looked like you guys were executing training where they were getting a little rattled. So you were saying training's really a big part. How long have you had this squad together?
So there's only a couple of people that have been here since the 2010 TGSS, where we didn't even have a team here, and the 2012 where we came 7th. Last time we didn't have a great time here. It's probably been the end of last year where we really started to really lock it down and work on some goals and make sure we had a real positive team culture as well. So that's probably helped us the most.
Well, congratulations. Big, strong win. More exciting stuff to come here at TGSS.
Yeah, it should be SSRG tonight, track 2, live.
Thank you.